the biggest advice is find a mentor. Find somebody that you can piggyback off. Right. If somebody said, Richard, I got a deal in San Antonio, let's do it together. Perfect. You'll be able to see the entire process from start to finish. So at the beginning, you have to pay. You have to give some away, right? And that would be my recommendation. Find somebody that you can literally partner up with. And I think in real estate, that's the easiest thing to do. Like I mentioned, if somebody wants me to find the deal, finance it, and then, we're doing everything already. There has to be a value proposition, right? Where, it makes sense, and we can help that individual, and then learn the entire process from start to finish, from the acquisition, all the way to the construction, to the management, and even like the furnishing, and everything that we do. So that would be my biggest advice: is find somebody that's already doing it, and figure out a way to partner up with them.
Welcome to the Limitless CEO Podcast. Today we have a special guest, Richard Gonzalez from San Antonio, Texas. He's called the TheEastSideKing because he's done over 300 deals in the real estate industry, and he's also the owner of Home Buyer Solution, Auto Property Management, and Alimo Construction. And he came from Texas. Thank you for being here today.
Yeah, no, thanks for inviting me. Looking forward to it.
I know you're a badass investor. And you're huge, but can you tell us a little bit about your story? How you got started, like way before everything started getting traction and the social media content?
Yeah. So I've been a full-time real estate investor for the last 10 years. So before that, I had another company.
Yeah.
I was in the merchant services, credit card processing, and I'm originally from California. So most of my business was out here in Los Angeles. And most of it was actually Latino based, right? 80% the taquerias, carnicerias, maybe shops like yours, that type of thing. But it's a very competitive industry. Every company.
What was it called?
Guaranteed processing, and then we ended up switching it to superior processing.
Nice.
So we did again, and the company, I still have it. It's just sitting there. We still have some merchants that we're processing with us, and we got those merchants that just don't want to change, which is great. So we're generating income still from it, but I haven't touched it in, like I said, almost 10 years.
Right.
So, out here in California, it was just a very competitive industry. So we said, where else can we go outside of California where there's a big demographic of Latinos and it's a big city? And San Antonio was like the perfect fit.
Yeah.
Fourth largest city in Texas, and the demographics is like 80 to 90% Latinos. So it just
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So the glove just fit the hand perfectly. So I remember still kind of, going out there just to test the market, just to see what it was. And right before I left, like I was the guy that would go and train our sales reps, like in the field.
You were in sales?
Yeah. We basically were sales offices.
Yeah. Is it like cold calls or?
Business to business.
Okay.
So basically we would say, we're going to take this Santee Street, we're going to go 10 blocks, come back around, we're going to hit up 100 businesses. That was the goal per day, 100 businesses. We knew
100 businesses per day?
Yeah, that's how we trained.
That's like the norm,
Norm, every day.
What's the closing rate?
If you could get one deal a day, that was like phenomenal.
You're crushing it, yeah.
Yeah, obviously most of the owners are not going to be there, managers, workers, that type of thing. So you want to talk to the decision makers. So that's why I take so many cold leads. But I still remember right before I left, I used to have a recruiter, like somebody that would help me interview and set up new, because in sales, you have a lot of turnover.
Was this your company?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So right before I left to San Antonio to just inspect the market, I went out with one more trainee. Same thing. We went to somewhere in downtown, and I remember first business we go to. Hey, I think it was a restaurant. Can I take your order? And I'm like, oh, my same pitch. This is Richard with Visa MasterCard. Get the hell out of here. You're like the 10th guy that has came in today offering this service. Like they're just tired of hearing that. They're like, leave me the hell alone. Like, what is this? A desperate industry, right?
What do you do then?
So then you let them vent.
Yeah.
You let them vent because it's their defense mechanism, right? And then I still remember whatever I said was automated. Like, meaning at that point, I have done thousands of transactions. I have helped, so many business owners that didn't believe in credit cards or just change their businesses. Even today, some people say, Rich, you were the reason I'm still in business, because at one point you allowed me to accept credit cards, or you changed my processing, whatever the case may be. So when you have that type of belief system, I mean, you don't get scared by stuff like that. So obviously, whatever I said was automatic. We walked out with an appointment, and the trainee, he just like cried. He's like, man, how'd you do that? Like this is insane. I'm like, man, the moment you're walking out of those doors, your doors, I'm walking right after you. So you have to be in that industry at the highest level. It's like at the Olympics. If you're not at that stage, forget about it. You're there's no way you're going to be able to compete or make money or sales in the merchant service industry.
Right.
So now, fast forward, I fly out to San Antonio. Same thing. I'm just going to do a little round. We'll start here. First business I go to, same pitch.
Yeah.
Hey, my name is Richard with Visa. They're like this, taking the order. My name is Richard with Visa MasterCard. What do you got to offer? Like, sit down. I'm like, no, I'm going to cancel my return flight. I'm staying.
Yeah.
So I knew at that point that San Antonio was a little bit behind the curve, right?
How old were you then?
I was 33.
Yeah.
So I was 33. 30. I'm sorry, 31. Right. I was 31. I'm 41 now.
Wow.
So 10 years ago. Wait, I was 20. 2011. No, I was 30. That was 13 years ago. Yeah.
13 years ago, and you're 41, so you were like probably like 28.
28. Yeah, absolutely. So
you're like, time flies.
Yeah, damn. That's crazy. That's crazy now that I think about it.
It does.
So the first 2-3 years, went phenomenal. Like what took us 10 years, like in LA and California, number of accounts, transactions, we were able to replicate it within like 2 to 3 years.
Right.
So that's how fast the growth was out there. So Texas was phenomenal. It was the best decision I could have made. We had offices in Houston, Dallas, San Antonio. Austin didn't work. The dynamics were not there. For anybody that has been to Austin, they understand. It's not really too much Latinos out there. But about 2013, the payment apps started coming out. Square, Stripe, offering no transaction fees, no monthly service fees. Well, that's how we made our money. Right. I mean, I made a couple pennies per transaction, but when you have thousands and thousands of transactions, they add up. So all of a sudden, we're like losing more accounts on a monthly basis than what we can bring in.
You started seeing the decline.
Oh, big time. So now, I mean, we're already working hard. So now imagine working twice as hard.
Yeah.
I was already working 18 hours. I mean, how many more can I work?
You sound like me, 18 hours a day.
So that was my routine.
Yeah.
Even to today, I still, I do 2 shifts. At 10 o'clock, I still punch in and go maybe till 3 or 4 every day just to work on the business.
Right.
Prep for the next day, focus on the things that are going to move the needle. That's basically how it works. So once the payment app started coming up, was like I said, now I'm just bleeding out. I'm literally losing more accounts. My transactions, my volume, everything's going down. Luckily, when I moved out to San Antonio, one of my best friends, he moved out with me. And he was a real estate investor, but he went bankrupt in the 2008 crash.
Okay.
Millions of dollars. I
remember. Yeah.
Like this guy was the most successful guy, me growing up, that I knew. And I remember I would invite him to like my birthdays and stuff like that. He's like, man, you gotta let me know 4 months in advance. He was like very greedy. I'm like, man, you lost all your money because you're just greedy. I mean, he would be like, oh man, if I go to your birthday, it's gonna cost me like 10 grand, 8 grand. Because on the weekends he would make his money for whatever reason.
Right.
So anyways, he's bankrupt. We moved to San Antonio. We're in a 1-bedroom apartment in downtown, and the rents are cheap. We were paying like $700. And he has a couch. I'm staying in the room. And I tell people, he's like that story of the couch story, right? Everybody has a couch story, bouncing around and all. That was him. And within like the first, so he starts studying the area, like the developments. This guy's Middle Eastern, so he's extremely like business savvy. Mm-hmm. He's like a master speculator. So starts kind of saying, damn, the city's putting all this money, millions, tens of millions of dollars, hundreds of millions of dollars into infrastructure. These big projects are about to go up. and he starts going into those areas and buying vacant land for like 10 grand, 15
So
grand.
he saw the trend coming.
Yeah, he saw the trend. And these were areas where maybe it was here in downtown 20 years ago, right? Where it was a little dangerous and nobody wanted to be in that side of town or East LA, whatever the case. It was kind of like that. And so
it's always the east side, not the west.
No, I know, for whatever reason. So it was definitely the east side of San Antonio. Yeah. And I'm not kidding you, man. Within 2 years, he's driving cab. This guy drives a cab. Most Middle Eastern drive cab, right? And we're stashing money those first 2 years. Like literally, we're saving, living below our means, frugally.
Right.
You know, a deal pops up, he's buying it, and now he has like almost 20 within 2 years.
Yeah.
And he's like, Rich, he keeps telling me, Rich, you got to get into this, man. This thing's about to blow up. Man, I'm losing my shirt. Like, I got 3 offices. I'm bleeding out. The last thing I want to do is do anything else or learn about real estate. That was not my background. That's not my strong suit, right? And I said, you know what, though? Anything you don't buy, send it my way, you know, because I knew I can piggyback off of it.
Right.
You know, but he didn't send me the $5,000, $10,000 to $15,000 deals. He sent me like the 30, 40, you know, that type of thing. But I knew this is vacant land. This is just land.
It was distant, yeah.
But I knew there were good deals because, again, I'm piggybacking off his expertise. So I bought like 6. So 2 years later, man, he starts flipping them, like selling them. 50, 80, 90. He sold one right in front of my own eyes for 120. He paid like 10 grand just 2 years prior. That was it, man. That was the tornillo that just turned.
Yeah.
I'm like, man, I don't know how this thing works, but I'm just gonna go all in. He's like, nah, the area's already, everybody knows about it. All the investors, they're kind of like that. The opportunity's over. But once again, his expertise was more speculation. Like he needs to go in early. My strong suit is sales and marketing. So I said, you know what? I know if I can do any market to people for me to buy the property, you know, in sales, it's a numbers game. And that's what it was. I started sending yellow letters. Back then, yellow letters were so popular.
Yeah.
You handwrite them. You get a letter. Hey, my name is Richard. I have I buy properties. Call me. I pay cash. And then my phone started ringing, and that was the beginning. That was the beginning of the whole real estate. But
so what happened before? I know, like after that, you became really successful, and we're gonna talk about it. But like, what drove you into like all this credit card processing? Because I want like people can relate with what was the drive or what got you into like this entrepreneurial spirit and getting all these things done. Like, what was the driver like before? A little bit. So of your story before the processing.
Definitely. So I've been an entrepreneur now for 23 years. So I'm 41. So at 18.
Yeah.
So at 18, I got accepted to college, San Luis Obispo, for engineering. Nice. So I'm like the first guy in my family that's going to college. Like, not just my immediate family, but my entire family. So you can imagine, you know, my parents and how proud they are. And my mijo's going to college, you know, first one. And I always knew I wanted to do something else, right? Yeah. In high school, I would be the guy selling the MP3 CDs. I'd be selling cable boxes. I'd be selling so many things. So I did little things like that. Where
so you already had it like from before?
Yeah, I had that little thing that I'd be doing stuff on eBay back in the day. Just anything that would be like to make you some money, whatever it was, whether it was good or bad, right? That's kind of how it worked. But I never got into drugs or anything like that. But once again, I had that itch, and I'm a freshman in San Luis Obispo, and they have a student store. So there's ads, people selling books, and there's an ad, hey, looking for business partners, and I call the ad. I call the number. All of a sudden, I'm talking to somebody. And they're like, yeah, we have a marketing company. We're doing this. We're going to, I don't know what the hell's going on. I just say yes. I just say yes to everything. Are you interested? Yes.
You were like that one movie, Jim Carrey? Yes, man.
Next thing you know, I'm on a 3-way call with the regional vice president of no sé qué. And now in hindsight, I'm being recruited. I'm being recruited to network marketing, right? The pyramids.
Right.
So
Like that Herbalife.
the Herbalife, ACN, all these companies back in the day, they were popular.
Yeah.
So next thing you know, we're doing a meeting where we're at a coffee place, and nombre me echan un flip kit, going through the comp plan. I don't know what's going on. Yeah, $500. Here's my card, man. If it goes through,
what was going through your mind?
I mean, I had already committed.
But do you think it's because you're curious, because you're competitive, because you're trying new things, or what was it?
I think. So first of all, my upline or my mentor, right?
Yeah.
This guy, he was the guy that got me in real estate originally. So I met him in he was a senior in college, and I was a freshman. And number two, when you meet somebody like that is so business savvy and talks to you a certain way,
right?
I mean, in that culture, they raise you up to be a businessman, right? They don't just get you one bike; they get you two bikes, one to rent. So they condition you and train you.
It was a mindset.
It was a mindset thing. Yeah. So when I met him, I thought like, man, this guy's at a whole nother world, like another level. And if it wasn't for him, obviously I wouldn't.
But it wasn't for your family, for your dad or your mom?
Absolutely not.
Family members?
No. So you can imagine, I drop out of college. So I'm a freshman.
Why did you drop out though?
So it was, I finished the first year, and you have to re-enroll. You have to re-enroll for the next year. That's how it works. Like, you can't you have to choose the classes. You have to say, I want to do geometry or whatever the case. Right. So I go back to my parents' house for the summer, and then they realize, hey, aren't you supposed to school starting this month? I'm like, oh yeah, they were full. Classes were full. And then
So you waited too long?
Yeah. I waited till
because you were doing other things like selling stuff and looking for other opportunities.
I was doing the network marketing.
Yeah.
So, most people have a negative, about those companies, but I mean, to me, it was the most positive thing. I wouldn't be here with you,
right?
If I didn't have that background, right? Because it forces you, when you get into those companies, to be around like-minded people, listen to audiobooks. Well, not audiobooks, just to listen to CDs back in the day.
Cassettes.
Everything. I literally still have them. I still have. You would buy the packet that has 120 cases, and then you put all your CDs in there. And every CD you can imagine, Tony Robbins, John Maxwell, Failing Forward. Mm-hmm. So those were like my foundation, So being in that environment, it forced me to kind of get my personal development. Luckily, we actually did pretty good in the company. We got to like one of the second highest positions.
What's the name of the company?
ACN.
ACN?
So we did...
what does it stand for?
American Communication Network. So basically they did telecommunication, long distance. They had utilities.
That was popular back then.
Very popular, man. It was like a wave. Yep. It was hitting every city in California. So when it hit my town, like everybody was in it. Right. That's kind of how it worked. So, but yeah, that was the beginning, man. That was the beginning of my kind of like my business career. Yeah. Obviously, I didn't have the skill sets. I didn't have the discipline. I struggled with all those things. Those kind of happened, through time. But luckily, it got me on the right path, right? Where now, I'm learning from successful people, my upline, my mentor, that type of thing. So I think it was just, again, kind of meant to be. And then at 23, so then that business ended up outgrowing me, where they call it the law of the lid, meaning my leadership wasn't at the level that it should have been,
right,
for me to be able to sustain my business. So it literally just collapsed.
Yeah, so you're probably at maybe at a level 4 or 5, and then your employees
the business just took off.
Yeah.
So just imagine that, and that's why I tell people, a lot of people want to scale their business, they want to grow it, but then they're not working on themselves. I'm like, you're not going to be able to lead a Michael Jordan or a Kobe Bryant in your business. Like, meaning whatever trade you're in, they're not going to be able to respect you unless you're at that level. Right?
How important do you think it's working on yourself first before on the company?
Critical. I think it's probably the number one skill. aside from like everything else, right? Leadership. Everything revolves around leadership, and the people that can do management, can manage people. I mean, they're the highest paid people.
Right.
If think about it, if you're just a cashier, that's all you're gonna make. But if you're a shift leader, now you're at McDonald's or whatever the case may be, you're a branch manager. You're managing people. Those are the highest paid positions. So, in my opinion, is the most important skill set, being able to manage people. So, and that's all I done is manage sales reps throughout my career. So that kind of helped me even in the real estate, even though I didn't have experience in real estate or construction or anything. I've been accustomed to always managing,
So always been a leader.
Yeah, absolutely. Since 18, basically.
Yeah.
So at 23, that's when I started my merchant services business. And
how did you get into this?
So one of my friends, he worked inside a company just identical to mine, and he called me. He says, "Hey, Rich, come do sales with us." And I said, "I'm not. What do you guys do?" "Oh, they do everything over the phone."
Right.
We cold call. We call business owners, and we get them to switch over their credit card processing. And man, just that alone, I was like, "Nah, I'm not interested." But at that point, after the network marketing didn't come down, I had to get a job. So I had a job somewhere. I think it was like an internet company, something like that. I lasted like just a couple months. So on my day off, I went out there. So I said, you know what? He had a bunch of desks. He's like, hey, están los leads, and hit the phones. And that day, I realized there was an opportunity. First of all, I was the only Latino in the sales group. So any call that they had a lot of Latino. Hey, Rich, can you take this call? And right away, I knew at that point.
That was your little niche right there.
That was it.
Yeah.
So I ended up staying.
Yeah.
I ended up staying. I became the top sales rep within like a month or two.
Damn.
The owner gave me like an Omega watch, like a $10,000 watch, my first month, and I'm like, man, I mean, to me, this is simple. But then, I started noticing the thing is you got to get approved for a merchant account.
Right.
So a lot of my people that I was talking to, or the business owners, they really wanted to accept credit cards, but we were declining them for whatever reason. They had something on the credit, this, that. I would go to the owner and say, hey, man, are you sure you don't have any other solution? Like, these guys are desperate. They're willing to even pay a premium. Right. Nah, man, if they don't get approved through our system, through our automation, then we don't want them. And I'm like, dang. So
that's when you saw the opportunity.
Yeah.
Like all these customers.
Yes.
Yeah.
So then I started researching how to get a contract with Visa, MasterCard directly. And that's why my business became guaranteed processing.
Right.
So guaranteed processing was, if you wanted to process credit cards, I ended up making a relationship with a bunch of different banks, processors that took high-risk merchants. So even if you had bad credit, I'll still be able to approve you. Right. Obviously, the terms were going to be whatever. But that was my niche.
But who cares? As long as they get approved, they're good.
That's all
they can always change merchant down the road. Yeah.
Down the road. Down the road now they have merchant statements. They have history, right? So that was my first business. I ended up basically calling myself Guaranteed Processing, and
So how long did you do this credit processing?
So since
that was like 10 years.
2015. So 2015.
Yeah.
So what's been 18 years, 19 years now?
Wow.
So the company's still there, but like I mentioned, it's just not growing.
So you sold the company?
No, I still have it.
You still have it? Okay, cool. Yeah.
I still have like 300, like 500 merchants maybe
that
are still paying me money.
Right.
I still get a salary actually from that company, which is weird. Like, so it's still generating passive residual income. So the point in that business was to build a portfolio and then eventually sell it for millions of dollars to the banks, to processors that are willing that buy portfolios. That was the end game, right? When you start a business, you have to say, well, what's my exit strategy?
Right.
And then in that business was that. So you can only imagine, I was in my 20s since 23, working my tail off, and then all of a sudden, the industry changes, and now I'm like, man, that's like, it's like somebody pulling the rug from you. So that's why real estate was so appealing to me. And during that transition, when I was kind of losing my shirt. The book from Robert Kiyosaki came out, The Second Chance. It was called Second Chance. Everybody has read the first one, but I don't think many people have read the Second Chance. So it was perfect timing. Like that book was just talking to me, like, hey, this is your second chance.
Like if it was talking to you.
Yeah, man. Like it's crazy how things line up, right?
Yeah.
And that's when I knew real estate was my ticket to gain back all the time that I invested in a business that now was worthless. Like nobody was buying portfolios, nobody was buying processing companies, just because they knew that the attrition was just way too low. Like the portfolios, everybody took a dip. You know.
Are you planning on selling that business?
Absolutely.
No?
Yeah. That was the goal.
Yeah.
I should have, like I said, I should have been retired 10 years ago.
And you're gonna sell it or no?
Yeah.
You're gonna keep it.
Yeah. Well, that one, no. At this point, it's not worth.
It's not worth nothing. Yeah.
And if I would have sold it, I have made more money holding it.
Right.
Because normally when you sell something, they're gonna pay you what you're gonna make for 2, 3, 4 years. Mm-hmm. So I've been holding it for 10 years. So I already made 5 times or whatever the case may be of what I would have gotten back then. So see, that's the key now with buy and hold real estate, right? If you're able to hold on to real estate long term, I mean, talk to anybody that has held real estate for 10, 20 years, 30 years. I mean, it's a no-brainer, right? Yep. So the key is, how do you hold on to real estate? Right. You know, or prime real estate, or real estate that is hard to cash flow. Mm-hmm. And that's where our model kind of comes in handy now. So
you got those 5 deals, and then you started like flipping properties. Mm-hmm. How do you become the East Side King of San Antonio?
So, I had somebody ask me,
or how you went from like 5 properties to 300 properties. In no time.
Yeah.
So, because I want to learn how to do it. Like I don't like real estate, but not like I'm like a rookie compared to you right now.
Absolutely. Well, it's just no difference than right now. My goal, probably by the end of the year, will be at 400 transactions in our career, whatever. Wow. Eventually, it'll be 500. Like
impressive.
So those numbers even right now seem unrealistic. Like for me, like, hey, how are you gonna get to 500?
Right. But you already have a game plan, right? You haven't broken it down.
Yes. So obviously we have a system. The market has something to do with that. There's opportunity. Maybe some people are in markets that are very difficult. So you got to move markets. The one thing I learned in merchant services that trained me was I had to keep moving. So the moment, like year 1 in San Antonio, man, we hit up every business. When I say every business, like we had a map of every street and we would highlight. And it got to a point where like, man, everything's highlighted.
Yeah, there's no more businesses.
So obviously we didn't sign up everybody, but now marketing wise, did it make sense for the next year to just focus on that or go to a new market and still continue to find the businesses that are not processing with us, right?
Right.
So that's kind of what helped. Well, here, I mean, there's still so much market, especially where I'm at. It's not. There's more houses than operators. I guess that's what you want to. I talk to people where they do deals here in LA, and I mean, you're basically fighting for these deals. Deal pops up. Man, you're over here competing with chinos and everybody. No offense on them, but these guys will overpay you.
Yeah. Okay. So basically, all these properties that you own, right? Yeah. So this over 300 properties. Is it like a flip property? Is it a passive? Do you keep them? Do you hold them? Do you sell them? What do you do?
So we've done over 300 transactions, like I mentioned. Obviously, we're holding.
How many are you holding now?
Yeah, over 100.
Over 100.
So it's between 100 and 200 around that area. So we're still holding the majority. I flipped some. I wholesale some. I've done different strategies throughout my.
And what's the best the best money maker?
Yeah. From
like wholesaling, keeping the property, and flipping the property.
To this day, the best strategy is the hold.
Yeah.
Just how I was able to not sell my portfolio in the merchant services. If you're able to hold it, then you're gonna make more money in the long run. Because think about it, somebody's willing to buy your business. Why do they want to buy it?
Because it has equity.
Equity
and it has
cash flow.
Yeah.
So they're gonna buy your future cash flow.
Mm-hmm.
So in reality, they see something that is like either they're gonna help it scale it, or they're just gonna keep it and say, hey, this is a good investment where we'll recover our investment in 5 years. So they gotta wait, right? They gotta wait until they recover it. But after then it's the long run game. So same thing with real estate. If you're able to buy and hold and keep it in the long run, you're gonna make more money.
Right.
The deals that I regret are all the ones I have sold.
Yeah.
I've sold some prime locations that right now, what I made for them, if I made 30 grand, 50 grand, I could have made that in 1 year. Doing, a short-term rental or, doing some other strategy and be able to hold the property still.
Right.
So buy and hold is still, but that's difficult. That's difficult. Most investors I know, they need to liquidate, and maybe at that point, because again, just like we were talking about, we go all in, right? Doesn't matter what level you're in. If you have a vision and you understand opportunity doesn't wait for anybody. So when it shows up,
you gotta either take action or
and
do nothing.
You might be putting the last money you have, but you understand that it's a calculated risk, like you mentioned. But for that moment, you're like, man, I'm going all in on this, and hopefully it pays off. So that's kind of how the real estate investor life is. It's never ending. You're gonna continue to find deals and better deals that you. So then the key is how do you keep the machine going?
Right.
Because real estate requires a lot of liquidity, a lot of cash, a lot of access to cash too. So those are the challenges, right? Luckily, when I'm able to buy a property, fix it, and now it's producing income, now I can go to my bank, and then they'll refinance me. I can pull my money back and then repeat the process. So it's the BRRRR method, right? They call it the BRRRR method. So that I'm just a product of that strategy.
Talk to me about the BRRRR method. What is that?
So the BRRRR is buy, rehab, rinse and repeat.
Right.
So you're just repeating the process, right?
Okay.
And it's an infinity process in reality if you can just find the deals. So the key is the deals.
Yeah.
So like I mentioned earlier, if you find a deal, like the money will show up. That was my mentality back in the day, back when I didn't have the finance or how I was gonna fix these properties, but I knew that if from one of my mentors, if I found a deal, then the money's out there.
Right.
So you just gotta figure out what other people are doing, who's lending the money, what type of deals, and that's how it works. So I found a company that did short-term loans, hard money loans, and then eventually I moved on to private lenders, people that just had money, and I got to meet like me and you, like you,
right?
And they'd be like, "Hey, Rich, I have an account that's not doing nothing.
Right.
Can you put it to work?" And I'm like, "Absolutely."
Like, hell yeah.
Yeah.
Other people money.
Because every dollar we're putting into the construction. So you don't put $1 into construction to make $1, or in real estate. You're putting $1 to make $2, $3 for every dollar. Same thing in a business, right?
Right.
So that's where the money goes. If somebody says, "Well, where does the money go?" Well, that's where it goes.
Right.
We're just converting it. We're converting that investment of a lender. We're plugging it into a project, and now we have a product that has a big cushion of equity, and now we're able to refinance the property and be able to pay everybody off.
Nice.
Right. The lender gets paid, everybody gets paid, and everybody's happy. So
win-win.
It's a win-win. I have about a group of 10 private lenders that I've been doing a lot of business in the past, and this year I'm even increasing that. So we're allowing people now to kind of like plug back into because we want to scale.
Yeah.
There's the opportunity, like I mentioned. How do you get to what took us 10 years in the real estate?
How big do you want to scale?
I mean, 500 transactions, at least a portfolio of 200 plus. But the key is more like there's properties that you can redevelop into even better assets, like putting multiple properties, putting 8 units, 10 units, also that type of thing.
Right.
My strong suit has been single family, so most of my properties are 1 of 4 units. Now I want to get into bigger developments, that type of thing. So I've done new construction too.
Right.
But for the most part, for those people that follow me, they get to see the projects, from start to finish. We're doing them in 60 days, 90 days. These are like full gut jobs.
Everybody likes satisfying videos, satisfying projects.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think that's what it is. You know, people have been enjoying that. They're like, man, this is crazy. How
Yeah.
to me, like I mentioned, I thought that was normal. But again, it's perfecting that process, that system where every day you're working on it.
Right.
Right. You get to hit the reset button. If you don't have a good day, you're like, okay, tomorrow I didn't get nothing off my to-do list. Tomorrow I'm gonna make
It's gonna be the day. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's how it works. Sometimes you have a bad day. You have a bad day at the gym. You're like, man. And then the next day you feel good.
Yep.
And that's how you get little, you get ahead.
Yeah, like so I was feeling like shit. I woke up at fucking 2 a.m. I was in the restroom for like an hour. I'm like, fuck it. I woke up at 4 a.m. I hit the gym. I thought it was gonna be a bad workout, but it was a good workout. At the end of the day, it's just putting in the workout, being consistent.
And it's a roller coaster, right? Sometimes it doesn't start. There's friction, and then all of a sudden it ends good, or you do things and it just you gain momentum.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's one of the keys in business. Like if you continue doing what you're doing, and you don't deviate, like sometimes like people call it luck, you'll take those leaps. I remember during COVID, that was a big year for us. Big year. People always wonder, well, how do you capitalize on the down markets? Or during COVID, nobody was paying rent, and these landlords couldn't even evict them. We couldn't evict them. The courts were closed.
Yeah.
So it's funny because people would always say, or the buy and hold investors that I knew, they're like, man, in down markets, even buy and hold investors even make more money because there's not enough. Nobody's buying, but everybody's renting. But nobody ever crossed their mind that the court was going to be closed.
Rent control. Yeah, I was evicting two of my tenants. I lost like $50,000. Yeah, because rent control here in California and especially in LA, they get protected. Like housing department is tough.
So I was coming across all these properties from wholesalers, from landlords, that they just didn't want to deal with it.
Yeah,
they're like, man, they're tearing up my house. I'm not collecting money. These are old school landlords. Yeah, they shouldn't even be landlording, but they were just doing it because it was easy. And now they want to get out, and that was another big year. Like another. 30, 40 properties, just like that. So again, there's years like that. Not every year was like that. 2018 was like a slow year for me,
right?
Because the prices had already doubled, if not tripled, and everybody in my area was like everybody was in there. Like it's almost like they turned the scope to the target and then kill it. Like it was difficult. Like every investor I knew was. Now I was competing with too many people.
Everybody was taking hits.
Yeah. And then eventually the strong survive. And then right now I feel like I'm one of the few there, like in the playground, just playing by myself. That's just how I feel. Yeah. Like everybody else is waiting on the sidelines, waiting for a time bomb, the market to crash. In my eyes, it literally crashed about almost a year ago.
Yeah.
Like the prices that we're buying properties, they're like 2017. And I was already kicking myself in 2000.
So you're saying it's a good time to buy right now?
Oh, big time.
Yeah.
Right now is the best time to buy. Right now is like where you got to figure out a way
But why is that? Because the interests are up and the houses are down?
There's less buyers. And not just on the regular market, but also the investor market. So most of the investors are, like I mentioned, they're on the sidelines. They're on the bench. They're just waiting. They're just watching the game. And waiting for an opportunity or waiting for so there again there's a lot of uncertainty, right? But that has created opportunity for the people that can still make the numbers work, the systems work. That's why when you mentioned at the beginning, why do you do why do we have construction in-house? Why do we have this? To be able to compete. If we didn't have those price points, then I'd be in the sidelines.
Right. Because
now, the pricing I'd be getting out there for our construction probably wouldn't make sense. So that's the key. You have to create your own island, if that makes any sense, where you're by yourself. You're really not competing with anybody else.
Yeah, you need to dominate. Dominate the industry instead of competing.
Exactly.
Right.
Like what's gonna separate you?
Yeah.
Right. Once again, if you see the videos I make and the projects. Man, these are like the worst beat up house you can imagine. Like they're on the floor.
Right.
How many investors are willing to do those type of projects? I mean, 2%. So also
That's a really small niche that nobody
It's a
wants
very
to
small
take.
niche.
Like small homes, beat up homes,
Yes.
historical homes, like the pains of headaches.
Exactly.
Nobody wants to go through the
Nobody.
process. They want to go through the easy route, and you take the hardest
Right.
projects.
So
Yeah.
just like, and I revert back to everything I done, right? Because everything I done, there's a pattern. Like the
Right.
pattern is like, hey, why'd you start your merchant services? Well, I saw a need, right? Half the people were getting declined, like for a merchant account. That's a lot.
Yeah.
And these people, like I had a relationship with, like I made them my friends.
Right.
You know, I was good at selling merchant services. And now they're like, Rich, help me, like I beg you, and this and that. So it drove me to find a solution. So
And that's what you call home buyer solutions.
house buyer solutions.
Or house buyers, yeah.
Solutions.
So let's talk about the house buyer solution.
Yeah. So then my business went from guaranteed processing to then I went to superior processing. You know, where we were the superior processor out there.
Yeah.
So house buyer solutions, you know, that was the.
What do you guys do there? Do you guys buy houses? Or?
Yes. So that's basically our marketing company to be able to acquire the properties. Like I mentioned at the beginning, we're doing the in-house marketing. Right now, there's just too many deals and too many wholesalers that we're not doing anything
Right.
direct. The last 20, 30 deals they have came from wholesalers. And a lot of people, I used to be the guy that used to be, how do you buy from wholesalers? Like I had never bought as of like 3 years ago,
Yeah.
I had never been able to buy a property from a wholesaler. Like the numbers never made sense.
Right.
Then like the rehab budgets that they would put, the numbers, I'm like, how doesn't it like teach me? Like I'm like find somebody
Yeah.
out there that actually is successful at it because I didn't understand it.
How do you learn?
And I couldn't buy from wholesalers because at
Right.
that time I was like I said, I didn't have the resources. I didn't have like for me that paying a wholesaler, you know, I don't know how much they make, $5,000, $10,000, $15,000, $20,000, whatever it is.
Right.
I needed that money. I needed that money to be able to make the numbers work.
Yeah.
For my roof or for whatever the case. Because
Yeah.
again, I was barely building my systems. I couldn't overpay. Now it's a little bit different because I'm willing to pay for somebody to bring me the deal. I know what it takes to market, follow somebody for 6 months to a year, a lead, and then eventually they sell to you. And, you know, so that's the wholesaler life.
Yeah.
You know, so it's a little bit different now. So now if somebody brings me a deal and like people say, what do you look at? Well, number one, I look at the price and I look at the location. So without looking at the property right away, especially if it's in my area, I can right away say, based on the price and if it's in my area, the square footage.
Right.
So just based on that, we already know if it's a deal before I
It's a good
even look
deal.
at it.
Right.
If somebody says, Rich, I have a property for 100,000, well, better not be a 200 square foot house. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, it doesn't make sense. Yeah.
Like that doesn't make
Yeah,
sense.
yeah.
But what if it's a 1,500 square foot house? Wow. Oh, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. Let me look at it. Let me make sure it's not it's not Frankenstein and it's really like somebody just did Mickey Mouse work. Do you get what I'm
Right.
saying?
Yeah.
So those are the two things.
So you know how to screen them.
Yeah. So then at that point, obviously, we want to look at the property, check it out, and then sometimes, yeah. So those are our two main indicators.
Right.
And then from there, obviously, we're gonna look at it and then check the location. And sometimes if it's prime location, well, of course, we're gonna have to pay a premium. Just like you mentioned, you bought a property that was close to your house and your other businesses.
Right.
Well, that's how it is. Sometimes they want to sell me the house across the street. And to me, that's a huge, I mean, now I'm playing Monopoly.
Right.
At that point, I'm like, now I have these two right here, these two here around the corner.
Right.
And that's more exciting than I'm just adding another house to my portfolio. You
Right.
get what I'm saying?
Yep.
So there, you always have to figure out a way that, like, what
You're
drives
able
it.
to manage it. It's
Yeah.
close by. It's easy to commute.
All those things.
Yeah, it's a lot of
rents,
factors,
There's so
yeah.
many factors.
Yeah.
And one thing I didn't mention about, our business was all of our properties are within like a 3-mile radius.
That's awesome.
So everything, like we literally.
So you don't have to drive like in LA, like
No,
fucking an hour in
no.
traffic.
Absolutely not. So just the same people, the reason people invest in apartments, like you have one building with 200, 300, we're kind of getting the same type of benefit, but just putting everything in That's what.
In one location, yeah.
So that's what I meant. That's where everybody calls. People call me the East Side King.
That's where it came from. Yeah.
Yeah,
because you own the entire block.
people will be like, "Man, you're the East Side King." Eventually, I'm like, "Okay, I'm gonna own up to it." So yeah, we probably done more transactions in that little area than anybody else. And now people know us, because of social media. They know that we're one of the main buyers there. So I always tell wholesalers, don't call me first, man. Call me last. I swear to God, they want to call me first. I'm like, no, call me last, because you're going to bring me a deal that doesn't make sense. And I rather you call me last and say, hey, Rich, I got a deal. How do we make it work? And I'm going to buy it from you if the numbers make sense. Guaranteed. Like it's a guarantee.
Yeah, you already know.
But again, the numbers are going to have to make sense. So either they have it low enough where they can make the numbers work, or sometimes they might have to go back to the seller, but they have a guarantee offer.
Right.
Because now they can go back and say, hey, Mr. Seller, this property needs, more, because there's a reason why it hasn't sold, right?
Right.
So either it's too much work that they didn't, the wholesaler didn't understand,
or the price is too high.
Right. So they're not lying when they're going back to these sellers and say, hey, Mr. Seller, unfortunately, we would need this house at this price. And now they have a committed offer from me that if they tell me yes, I said, if you tell me yes, we're closing next week. So that's how fast, and obviously the seller, is going to make a decision if they really want to sell.
And you're closing next week because you're buying cash.
Correct.
Yeah.
It's either cash or private money. That's really the only way to be able to compete today in the off market. You can't do lending or it just doesn't work. Takes too long, and you're not going to be able to compete with somebody like me that can just pull the trigger. So you got to know your market. I think the moral of the story is focus, on your area. Be the expert.
Mm-hmm.
And when something pops up, you can make a quicker decision than somebody else that has to get their contractor in there, got to get some bids. I mean, by that time, the deal's gone.
Be the best in the industry. Be the master. Because a lot of people focus on a lot of things, and they can't focus on one thing. They're all over the place. Absolutely. It's like this one, this guy, Alex Morosi. He has like a bunch of cups, and then he's like putting water on every single cup. So it's kind of hard to like fill one cup. So that's how people are. They're all over the place, and they're not focusing. And that's why you're like the best in your industry, right? Like the EastSideKing. Because you're only doing one thing.
That's it.
And then like once you started doing that, then you got into the construction side as well?
No, so the construction side got as I'm doing these rehabs, right? So most people don't understand my first project. I lost over $30,000.
Oh wow.
So, and everybody that gets into real estate investing, they want to flip. Like flip is
everybody wants to flip.
It's the hottest thing that exists. Like, hey, I want to flip houses. Great. So I was that guy. Guy. You see it on TV. You see all the shows, and you find a deal. You're interviewing contractors. You're checking the references. You're doing everything that you're learning, right, from these gurus.
Right.
And then you do the project, and then these contractors realize, okay, this guy's a rookie. They'll figure out a way to take advantage of you, and that's what happened to me. I thought I did my homework. I mean, I literally went to go see somebody's projects, somebody that's been a contractor for 30 years, and then all of a sudden I hire them for my project. We're halfway into it. The budget's gone, and now they pick a fight with you, and it's your fault. You don't know what you're doing. You're changing your mind. And again, these guys have master degrees, man.
Yeah, they ask for more money. They're overpricing the property.
Change orders to the max, and all of a sudden you're like, you don't know any better.
You're like, where's the budget?
You're like, man, I had a deal with enough equity, with enough rehab, it should have got done. But because of the you don't have the experience, they can smell that from a mile. So it's just a matter of time until they take advantage of that. So eventually I had to take a step back.
Right.
So I said, you know what?
So you lost $30,000, and then
on my first, and then I said, you know, I'm gonna take a step back and try it with rentals. Start doing rentals. So the next house, and a rental, you're not gonna go all out. You're gonna, do some cosmetic work.
Mm-hmm. Cosmetic, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I was changing everything, all the fixtures and everything, but I was not putting in the expensive fixtures. Instead of the $400 vanity, I'm putting a $100 vanity. Instead of the $100, water faucet, I'm putting a $20 faucet. It's that type, but it's new.
Yeah, it's new. Vinyl floors, black and white.
Vinyl floor, roll vinyl, that type of thing. But it was a clean product. Eventually, as you're doing the next project, you're getting better. You're finding the right people, right? The right contractors, the right subs. Because at that point, I was managing it myself. So I was basically the GC. So I'm just working directly with the sub. I'm guiding them, I'm scheduling them. And then eventually, like, hey, let's take another shot. Let's do another high-end project. Yeah. I still remember when I started, I'd done every position, kind of like you, where I used to do the leasing. I used to move in the tenant. I used to collect the rent. You have to. Yeah. I had one employee, and I was the one, doing that part. And I still remember when we did a really nice, project for a rental, and we went to go drop off, like, a copy of, I don't know, the lease or a key. These people are already smoking inside the house. I'm just like, oh, man, that hurts. Yeah. So then that motivated me to do higher end stuff. I'm like, let me take another stab at another flip or something higher end, because now you have the product. You've been able to get good, and that's how it happened. Now we have people. We have designers. We have interior designers. We have architects. We have different people that help us optimize the projects. Right. Yeah. Change the floor plans. Make it more functional, add square footage, and again, get it the highest and best use of that property. So that's another animal, but that's where we're at today. We just have a big team. Right.
How do you hire all these key people? Where do you find them? How you screen them?
It's really trial and error. Yeah. Most people.
Do you have like a system to hire?
Yeah. So I think I always been good at kind of bringing people in, and definitely interviewing, right? Because once they meet me, you give them the vision, just like right now, where you want to get to, 500, let's get to 500. It's a vision, and not just get to 500. I mean, we could get to 500 when we're 50 or 60 years old. How do you do that in 2 years, maybe 3 years, or whatever the case? Right. So that's a different operating system. That's a different mentality. So same thing with hiring, like I mentioned, it's not that difficult to bring them through the door. Is what you're gonna do, right? Once they actually sign up, are you gonna be able to help them out, support them, be able to teach them? So that's why I'm a big believer of, you kind of got to do it yourself first, whatever position it is. Right. Before you can pass it to somebody else. I'll give you an example. Like mentioned, we just started the social media not too long ago, and I'm still doing it. Why? Because I want to learn. I want to learn every detail about it. The moment it gets passed down to, it's easy to pass it down to a VA, an assistant, super easy. Right. Hey, Rich, what I do when this happens? I don't know. Watch a YouTube video, call somebody.
Figure it out.
You know what I'm saying? It's different where then you give them a blueprint. You're able to kind of give them a system and be able to leverage that. So that's critical. That's critical when it comes to hiring. But for the most part, a lot of people that they're probably listening to this, if they don't have any employees or they don't have anybody in their team, my biggest advice would be just hire anybody. Why? Why just hire anybody? Because it's gonna force you when you have. It's like having a baby, right? What does a baby do to your mentality?
Well, it makes you think of how to train them, how to talk to him. I mean, how to teach them how to do something.
Yeah, I mean, it's your baby. Yeah. It's a priority. Right. It's a priority, right? Unless you're a bad dad, but for the most part, it changes your world. Yeah. So same thing when you hire somebody, because most people, they want to find the right person, and like we talked about it earlier, you have to be working on yourself first to get to that point where you can, So going back to and I know it's off topic, but when I started my credit card business, I was 23 years old. Right. And I'm hiring sales reps that are 50, if not 60 years old. So these guys have
way older. Yeah.
30 years of sales experience. So So I still remember when they would walk in the door and they would sit across from me. They were like shocked. They're like, "What the hell? This guy's a..."
Who's this kid?
I mean, I had a baby face.
Yeah.
I still have a semi-baby face, but back then I looked like 15.
Yeah.
So they were like, "Holy crap!" Like, I still remember doing the interview, and they just had their arms crossed the whole time. They're just looking up,
Not paying attention.
No.
Yeah.
But I knew by the end of the conversation, something in their mind would click, because, they would go from this to like saying, you know what?
Interesting.
There's a reason why you're on that side.
Yeah.
And I'm over here trying to get a job. So then, like I mentioned, I made it a goal that by the end of the conversation, I knew something was going to click in your brain. And then all of a sudden, they would be, you know what? Okay, well, let's try it out, right? That's going to be their response. Now, when we went in the field, because again, that was my expertise,
Right.
and they saw me in action and kind of like my gifts and my abilities, and then they tried it, and then they struggled, even with 30 years experience.
Yeah.
Man, now they knew I knew something that benefited them in that business, if they were going to stick around in that business. Because that's all I knew. I knew how to, again, we go back to, solutions, having solutions in our business, superior processing solutions, house buyer solutions, right? Yeah. It's about providing solutions. So that's where they enabled me now to lead them.
Right.
Because they respected me. You have to earn that respect. So that's the biggest, and probably most important skill in any organization, is to be able to get people's respect. So whether you're a manager, whether you're starting a company, so when you're hiring somebody, you're not gonna know the right process. You're not gonna know who the right people is. But I guarantee you, after the first guy, you're gonna know who not to hire.
Right.
I mean, man, I might not know who, but I know which attributes I don't need.
You're right.
And then eventually the next interview, you're like, hey man, you can't do this, you can't do that, and now you're setting expectations. Especially like me, I'm opening up new positions that I have never hired for. So I'm still going through those processes, because it's not like, hey, well, just give them the blueprint. Hey, well, just this, dude, this is a new position. So, but I'll tell you, so the chances of succeeding, obviously, with that first person, I mean, they're going to be a lot lower. But maybe by the second, third, fourth person, I'm going to have a better chance, because now, I'm going to minimize the it's like you get to start over with the person, and I'll be like, oh man, I made mistakes.
Right.
And sometimes those mistakes, you can't revert them, right?
Yeah.
They pick up bad habits, or hey, you're not on top of them, and now they're getting away with murder. Well, you can't just be stern overnight. It's like if you haven't disciplined your kids, and then all of a sudden you're like,
Papa.
Yeah, it doesn't work.
What's going on? Yeah,
it doesn't work. Yeah. You have to start from the beginning.
Right.
And that's the key with hiring people. So there's no secret to it. So in other words, there's no secret. You have to just run the numbers, go through them, and then eventually, once you have your system down or that position down, that person will arrive, man. Trust me. I'm a big believer of law of attraction. Yeah. Mm-hmm. You put it out there with enough intention, enough energy, enough emotion.
It will come.
It will come, man. Yeah. But that's what I'm saying. You got to be ready, because a lot of people, it shows up and they don't know what to do.
Right.
It's like me showing up to your business and are you ready? I mean, you gotta ask yourself, and most people don't ask themselves those questions. They just think that, hey, I want somebody that can run my company. I want somebody that can do this,
And they can't do it if they don't have clear expectations on what to do, a job description or something. Like, if you don't know what to do, then they're not gonna know what to do, obviously. And like you said, like if you've done it, then you know exactly what you want from them.
Exactly.
And I mean, it's important. It's hard. Like, everybody deals with hiring people. Even ourselves, like, we have out of 10 people, I think we usually keep two out of 10 because it's hard. But we have a system now. But over the years, we created that system. Yeah. It's not right off the bat. We screen them. We do a phone call, and then we have them do a video text message, and then we do a Zoom call, and then that's when I come in and we do it in person. And then from there, we have a 30-day probationary period to a 90 days.
Beautiful.
And then we let them go after the 90, or we keep them. Yeah. And even then, they're like, we have like a system. We do like a quadrant. And then we do like a doer, a thinker, a watcher, and a drainer. And then we rate the people every 3 to 6 months. And whoever's a drainer and a watcher, basically we let them go. And the thinker and the doers, those are the people that we promote. And that's the way we do the hiring and the firing. But it's still hard. It's still hard to find good people.
Well, like the saying says, and this goes for any business, you either move up or you move out.
Yeah.
And that goes for people, period, right? You either have to keep growing. Same thing for a business. You got to keep growing or eventually it's just going to disappear. And it's funny that you were saying about the probationary period. Man, we do that. Now, I'm to the point now where I even add an extra line. Yeah. Company is willing to terminate this agreement at any point. And they read it. And if they accept the terms, that's the terms. Right. And, they can't go back and say, hey, man, this guy fired me. Dude, you agreed to everything, And they're like, why? I'm like, man, even now, I can't even wait 30 days or 90 days, which my norm was 90-day probationary. Then I made it to 30. And then I'm like, I'm just going to add the clause in there. So that way the expectation is there. I'm like, look, if I have the wrong person in this vehicle, because now I'm also hiring higher talent. Right. Now I'm not, when you're hiring for higher positions, whether it's a construction manager, property manager, these people come with experience, and you're paying them. You're paying them at those levels.
Executive level.
Yeah. The problem is if they're the wrong person, they're going to cost me more money by being in that seat than not hiring them at all. Right. Let's say a construction manager is doing the wrong mistakes. I mean, we could be losing thousands a day. Thousands. Yeah. Because they don't understand the sequence. They ordered something incorrectly. It got installed before this. Now we have to redo it. I mean, it's so much liability.
Training.
Absolutely.
Resources. Yeah. Opportunity cost.
So see, that's the difference.
Mistakes.
Yeah, mistakes. And these people are coming with experience. Yeah. Quote unquote.
Yeah.
Quote unquote experience. Yeah. 20 years, references through the roof. But that doesn't mean anything. I'm to the point. What I realize is, a lot of those skill sets do help, but unless they're working with your twin right now, then those experiences don't really make a difference. You're a different animal. Right. You're a different operating system. You're switching from Apple now to Android. You're switching to a different one. It's gonna take a while.
How important do you think it's the core values and the mission statement? And do you have any?
Absolutely. It's huge. I think it's probably one of the most important, right? Like having integrity, having, like for example, in my business, one of the biggest core values is responsibility. I can work with anybody. I can literally, if you're a hard worker, or even if you have flaws, I can work with anybody. But I can't work with irresponsible people that don't take responsibility, right? It just doesn't work. Or people that blame others, right? It's like, hey, this happened, but because of him, man, I just can't do that. Or you're showing up late, or you're irresponsible, or whatever. Especially when you're a small company, there's only so much bandwidth you have, right? So everybody has to be able to carry their own weight. And that's the expectation. Right. I used to think, I used to have the mentality that people have to work as much as you and this and that. And then somebody once told me, Rich, how can you expect people to work so many hours? It doesn't make sense. They're not the owner. Yeah. You're it's not the same structure. They're an employee structure. So I was like, oh shit, what the hell am I thinking? But you know what? Then if they're gonna work 8 hours, my expectation is they gotta work 8 hours. Right. You can't
be fooling around.
Yeah, you can't work 2 hours.
Watching Netflix, Instagram,
being on the phone or whatnot. Yeah. And if you could do that and still manage your position, I mean that's a different level. But man, for the most part, most people can't multitask. There's studies that says that you can't do two things at once. They're literally studies. Yeah. Where they have tested the most multitask talented people in the world. Right. And they did little tests on them, and they're like, dang, it's crazy how the brain works, and it really can juggle two things. So what does that tell us? That, if you're not focused, you're not going to be able to really succeed at that, especially if you're playing at a high level, right? Right. So So that's just one example of
the core values.
Yeah. So one of the things when somebody complains about somebody, the first thing I hear, I'm like, wait, are you saying they didn't want to go do this? That doesn't, because that right there is like, now I got to get involved and have a serious conversation with that person. You know, we do a lot of short-term rentals, so a lot of it is review driven. You know, we're still Superhost. And I don't know for those that understand what Superhost is. It's easy.
What is Superhost?
So Superhost is like the professional, is like the professional host with the highest ratings. The websites promote you first on their page. And I didn't realize until you know, I was talking to some friends when I started in the business. They rent short-term rentals or Airbnbs, but they only stay with Superhost. I'm like, why? It's like, man, I don't want to stay with somebody that. What if I have a problem with the AC? Yeah. These guys have teams. They have systems. You're not just a Superhost because you.
Right.
You know,
because people want to go with the experience, even if they pay more. Right. They want to go with the executive level, the VIP.
If you Google how much do Superhosts make compared to regular hosts, like 30-40%.
Yeah.
So, and it's easy to be a Superhost with maybe one property, 2, maybe even 5. 10. I think the most I seen with Superhost is somebody with like 20.
Right.
But after that, I mean, to replicate the same experience over and over and still get the highest reviews is very difficult.
Right.
We're still Superhost with over 100 short-term rentals. So it just lets you know. It lets you know the level that we're playing at.
The commitment.
The commitment. How serious we take, you know, customer. I thought I knew customer service back then. When I now I know what customer service is. Like, you literally, the customer is the whatever they ask, and it's weird because I used to say, nah, don't give them the. That's not customer service, man. If you're gonna be in hospitality, that's just what it takes. Hey, give them a refund. Just do it. Before I couldn't. I'm like, no way, man. You know, I'm gonna lose my shirt.
When you eat it, we eat it with enthusiasm.
Yeah. So now, you know, hey, the AC broke down at midnight, man. Give them a full. It's gonna cost me more money to get a last minute guy. Yeah, but they stayed 3 days. Give them the money back. You know.
Yeah.
They're gonna be happy. You know. So that's what I'm saying.
Right.
It comes down to that.
But going back to the core values and mission statement, we do have a mission statement. We have we're on a mission on impacting 1 million lives by transforming their property. And that's how we hire. That's how we fire. That's how we eat. Like the core values, real T, results. Like you were saying, results. We need results for the employees. If not, then they can't work here. Excellence, nothing less. Accountability, like you were saying, they have to be accountable. Leadership, leaders, lead by example. And then teamwork. It's not we. It's not me. It's we. It's we. We're a team. Nice. So it's really important to go with your core values, with your mission statement. That's how we hire. That's how we fire. That's the culture in the team. It's important.
No, absolutely. Yeah. And the environment.
The environment.
You know, you can't have somebody that is not a team player for sure.
Selfish.
Yeah. Exactly. So see, like you said, how important it is, extremely. You have somebody that's a bad apple, I mean, it's just not going to...
Cancers.
Yeah, it's just going to affect your
It's organization. A drainer. A drainer and a watcher.
Yeah, and it's going to affect others, you know, because I think everybody can be persuaded or is contagious, and all of a sudden is like, it just spreads. So the quicker you can get those people out, you know. Obviously, I never give up on people. I think that's one of my weaknesses.
Yeah.
I just can't, I literally... Emotion. Yeah, like I have to keep trying because I'm just not a quitter. That's just not in my DNA. So, and that goes for all aspects of the business, right? Whether we're struggling with a certain person, I blame myself. I'm like, well, what haven't I tried yet? Let's try this. Hey, he's always running late. Well, let's move his start time. Let's do this. You know, it's like I went to a wedding and they put 5. I know the wedding doesn't start till like 6:30. Yeah. They know those things. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So you have to set it up for success, or at least off balance, because you already understand there's no perfect employee.
There's no perfect employee.
You know, so everybody has their strong suits.
And they know that they'll be like, oh, I'm gonna do this, and they didn't notice, or they get away with going home early or whatever it is, and they see if you're tracking or not. Your KPI. If you don't have any KPIs, any metrics, any follow-ups, or any feedback, they don't know. They don't know if you're gonna talk to them every week. And if you don't talk to them, then that's how they start doing like bad things. Like they don't know something to keep aligned with other people.
So definitely. And that's where the management comes in, right?
Yep.
Because without management, I mean, it's just people running around, you know, with their head chopped off.
Yeah.
You know, like you mentioned, like I mentioned about the buying in a certain area, even with the same team, like I only done two projects outside of my area, and this was because, you know, somebody called me. There's a foreclosure, Rich. It's a crazy deal. All right, I'll get it, whatever. And I run it through the same process, same construction, same team. I'm like, you know what? Let me go. It's 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock. Let me go check up on it. It's not in my area, so I got to drive 20 minutes, maybe 30. Out there in San Antonio, it only takes 30 minutes to go anywhere outside the area. It's only like 20-mile radius. But that's the furthest.
Right.
So I'm going out there to check. Nobody's there. I'm like, what the hell's going on? Hey guys, where we go? Oh, we're coming back from lunch. I'm like, man, that's bullshit. You guys are either, you know, giving bids or doing side jobs.
Yeah, something was off.
Yeah, so and these are people that I've done dozens, if not hundreds, of projects with. So again, it tells you the human
human nature. Yeah.
You know, out here in my area, my office is there. I'm within 1 mile from every single project, so I'll step in. So it's kind of like having that shadow, right?
Yeah.
Where I show up and it's like, whoa, the boss is here, or, you know, let me check the progress. There has to be progress. I mean, like I told you, we're doing roll call, right? These are contractors, but we have to do roll call. And I mean, if you're in construction, you're starting before 9 o'clock.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't make any sense. And if I'm feeding you, you know, that much work, there shouldn't be no reason for you to be working anywhere else. Or I'm not making enough money. Well, then, you know, you work more, right? So 9 a.m. we need to know who showed up, who didn't, and then figure out a reason why they're not there. Whether they're running late, they're picking up something, they dropped off. There has to be a reason.
Right.
You can't just go by and again, a lot of the investors, when they get started, like I did, I used to just show up on Fridays because I got taught by these gurus.
Yeah.
You should be focused on finding deals. You shouldn't be managing construction. If you find the right GC, that's all it takes.
Right.
And you're like, okay, well then I'm going to focus on finding deals. I show up Fridays because they want to draw or a check, and I'm looking at the project. Hey man, it looks the same as last week. Oh no, man, we fixed all the bracing. We reinforced the. You can't see any of that.
You're like bullshit.
So here goes another draw, $5,000, $10,000. All of a sudden, the budget's gone. Right. Because again, you don't know what you don't know. So it's different than you show up at 8 a.m. When they get there, you go over any details, and then you show up before they leave. Doesn't require that doesn't require any construction experience. That's management, right? So like I mentioned, I didn't have any construction experience. So what I had was that management experience, managing sales reps. And if anybody has managed sales reps, man, when that target is pointing at you, man,
you pull out the whip.
you have to be at another level.
Yeah.
It's like playing high level chess, and it really tests you because these guys are good at talking, and they know exactly everything they're saying is so calculated, and it's like a Academy Award like excuses. You're like, holy crap, that one was a good one.
Yeah.
But you have to be, like I said, one step higher. So that's the training I got, you know, or the skill set. So when I got into real estate, well, that helped me, even though I didn't know construction, I didn't know any of that. Going back to the basics, I can be there at 8, I can be there at 5, and then eventually you start picking it up, right? You're repeating the process over and over. You make mistakes. Okay, well, what did I make mistakes on this project? And then eventually you're like, okay, hit the reset button. Let's try to do another one. And now, you know, because the systems and processes and you know, been working with the same team for so long, we're able to do projects that maybe take somebody else 6 months to a year. We're able to do them within less than 90 days.
Wow.
And I've been wanting to do that for my entire career, you know, and now I'm like, I figured it out. Well, you should stop now, Richard. You have too many houses. What the hell? It took me this long. You just, I literally, I've been working on this, you know. So that's what I mean. That's the different mentality, right?
Right.
Now it's like, it's not like I have to work. You know, I'm working. They're the ones doing the work.
Yeah, it's about the process for me as well. It's not about like getting somewhere. It's just enjoying the process on a daily basis. Like I don't even care. Like I know money is good. I mean, if you make more money, it's better. You could have more resources to create more memories. But I think it's just on a daily basis, enjoying the day, enjoying the family,
Absolutely.
church, health, happiness,
Balance.
That's the way I see it. And then just going back, I'm gonna ask you a few questions. Maybe it's gonna help the audience. Like, how do you keep yourself motivated? 'Cause I see yourself like with energy. You have a family. You have all these businesses.
Sure.
But like, how do you keep yourself motivated, even when you have a lot going on and problems along the way?
So obviously, there's a lot of responsibility. There's a lot of people, like you mentioned, that depend on you. And for those that want to build a team or hire somebody, the moment you hire somebody, it will change your perception, your way of doing business, because all of a sudden now you're bringing somebody to your business that now depends on you, right? They're feeding their family, their kids, you name it. So for me, it's, there's opportunity, like you said, money, but money is just energy, right? You can do things with energy.
Right.
So, and I heard something over the weekend, you know, at the event I was at. It's like the velocity of money, and that has always motivated me. Like the velocity of money, like how fast can it transfer and move and
to your bank account.
It's just everywhere, right?
Yeah.
And so it's an interesting concept, you know. But for me, it's really obviously capitalizing on opportunity, right? I always, what drives me too is like, if something's gonna take me 10 years, I want to figure out how to shortcut bridge the gap a lot quicker. So that alone, it's a motivation, because like I mentioned, if you were able to get to where you're at right now and you would have been able to do it with half the time, I mean, where would you be today?
Yeah.
You know, and there's nothing wrong with going slow. You know, everything that we experience is for a reason. You know, and who knows what the future is. You know, there's a purpose for everybody. So I believe there's a purpose, right?
What's your purpose?
So to impact, you know, we're impact the community, an area, you know, our town, our city. We're creating jobs, opportunity. I mean, we're like, I want to be known as that person, you know, or one of them at least.
Right.
I mean, I'm not the only one, you know, that has changed an entire area. Think about that. So that to me is inspiring, you know, to be.
It is inspiring, changing people's lives.
So for sure.
Impacting lives.
So like you mentioned, you know, it took us this long to get the systems to where we're at, because people sometimes think it happened overnight.
Right.
I mean, we've been working on this since...
You've been grinding since
18.
18
years old. I've been an entrepreneur, going 23 years. So that's how long it takes.
Before I was born.
and again, grinding.
Yeah.
So I've been doing the same thing in my last company. That I've been doing this. It's just a different product now. You know, grinding, putting in the time, working on the systems, trying to improve every day. And then, like I said, eventually... There's opportunities that pop up.
So continuous learning, staying active, hustling, keep crushing it.
And now with social media, you can meet, you know, you can reach people that I would never cross paths. Me and you would probably never cross paths if it wasn't for you know, other people that introduce us.
Right.
So that's the power.
Yeah.
That's the power, and you know, I'm sure you know, people that want to reach out, and you know, I'm an open book. Absolutely, you can find me on, you know, and we'll give them our contact info, but you know, it's also about giving back, right? You have to give back.
Giving back to a community.
Absolutely. You know, there's no successful guy that, you know, that's not giving back or providing value, right? And I think the most wealthy people are the ones that have give the most value.
Right.
The people that have changed industries, right?
I agree 100%.
Big time.
Providing value, changing people's life. We gave a $65,000 project last year of painting on Salesian Youth Center. So it was $65,000 project. Our guys donated the time.
Wow.
Sherwin Williams came in and put in like 200 gallons of paint.
Wow.
It was like $65,000 project. So it feels pretty good, like to help other people.
Yeah.
It does.
No, absolutely. You know, even just recently, I realized that our long-term rentals that we have, the rents that we have them at, I didn't even realize we're below low income. Like we're low, and I'm like, holy crap, that's a good feeling, because if I wouldn't have purchased them when I did, I wouldn't be able to rent them for that price. So that's how I'm able to compete in the marketplace too. So you gotta see that from that perspective. It's like, hey, gotta give me an opportunity early enough where I bought them low enough that I can provide at this level of income, rent.
Right. Yeah.
And that in itself, is helping the community, because I was like, wow, all of them, I'm still below the threshold of what low income was.
Are you planning on raising the price?
I mean, we've been raising it slowly, but even then, it's still below. So right. I mean, $50, $100 here and there, but that's the thing with Texas. The prices have increased, but the rents have not gone up in direct proportion.
Right.
So eventually they might, but nothing compared to California or.
It's crazy, yeah. Rents here are high. Like minimum is like $2,000.
Oh man.
Yeah. That's only a studio, one bathroom. Yeah.
That's crazy. So again, out there you can still rent three bedroom houses under $2,000.
Wow.
1,500. All day. So, but again, we're in different markets.
Right. How do you keep yourself motivated, and how do you keep your family motivated? I know yourself, but your family, and how do you find time to spend with your family, running all these businesses?
Definitely.
Because I have 4 kids. I have a 19, 15, 7, and 4. How do you find time for them, and how to take off?
So I'm barely starting to have my family. So I'm.
Do you have any kids?
No kids yet. So by the end of the year, in a year we'll be having our first kid.
Nice.
So I'm looking forward to that. So that's gonna change my perspective, right? That's probably one of the reasons too. I'm kind of driven right now. I'm like, hey, just let's go all out right now.
Yeah.
Because who knows? Again, it's that priority, right? Maybe right now I'm spending time with some people I probably won't be, right? And that's what it is. You just don't have the capacity. But definitely, if it wasn't for my wife, I wouldn't be able to have that balance. She's my balance for sure. And even when I met her, I knew that, I needed to change my lifestyle, because all I want to do is work 24 hours.
Right.
But that's not sustainable, so you got to be able to have some type of balance, and that's what she's enabled me to give me. One of the reasons I came out here to California too was to visit my family. So right. I still come out at least four times a year, because I'm in Texas, so right. I'm by myself. Literally, it's just me and my wife, and I met her over there.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So in reality, is like my family is still here. So I come back for everybody's birthday. So I literally have to come back for my mom, my brothers, my dad, and it's it kind of plays out. There's only like one, because I come in October, and then Thanksgiving comes up, and then I want to come back for December.
Right.
So Thanksgiving is the only one I remember when I missed my first Thanksgiving, and it was a horrible feeling, because in the Latino family, everybody's at the table.
Right.
And the first time it was almost like, oh man, but I was just there 3 weeks ago, for my dad's. But we try to do as much as I can in regards to that. So, and that's the last thing I want to regret, is not going to see them as much. And right now we're working on building a house out here and living, at least during the hot season out here, living out here. So that's also in the near future. So, and that's going to be, near the end. So we're going to be able to kind of regroup and help us with the baby. With the Latinos.
Very nice, yeah.
You need babysitters, man.
Yeah.
I'm the oldest, so I have 5 brothers and sisters.
I'm the youngest.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So that's how they done it. So I'm like, hey, let's piggyback off that. So,
yeah. So where are you going in the next 5 years? Where's Home Solutions, the construction business, and auto property management going in the next 5 years?
So I always have been, so my goal has always been to the local leader, right?
Mm-hmm.
Ever since merchant services.
You're gonna be the East Side and the West Side King.
I'm sure there's a West Side guy, a West Side King right now, but I haven't heard of him yet. But
right.
no, I'm gonna stick to the model, right, until it doesn't work. People are like, when are you gonna stop? When it doesn't work,
right?
You're gonna have to pivot. Yeah. You're gonna have to do something
pivot
else
if it's working?
Exactly. Yeah. So eventually, you adapt. You pivot. You figure out something else. Maybe it's apartments. Maybe is new developments or more new developments. Right. That's one thing that right now I would like to do a little bit more, because these rehabs, they take a little toll on people, and especially our team, because it gives you a couple gray hairs each one. So if we could mix more new construction, new development, that's a lot easier. Right. You're just building blocks at that point.
Right. The
problem, like you mentioned, it takes time. You got to do a lot of planning, city approvals, versus at least in my city, we can normally get a building permit within a couple of days. So we can hit the.
That's awesome.
We can hit the ground running the same week we buy it.
Nothing like California.
So see, these are the things. Yeah. Me coming from the California and understanding how it is out here, and I go to San Antonio or a different state. It's not rocket science, right? You understand the different complexities, how hard it is out here. Not that it doesn't require work, but the same amount of work and energy that you put, you can probably get more
done, more money, yeah.
Yeah, more results.
More impact, yeah.
Same energy, same saliva, same sales.
Yeah.
Just different result. And sometimes that's all it takes. It's for you to just change your target. Right. Because I could have stayed here. I could have still been in merchant services here, grinding it.
Yeah.
And I have some friends that are still in it. But they haven't taken the leaps and bounds that I've been able to do because of the change in market.
Right. So just lastly, any business insights for people that want to get into the real estate industry or the property management industry? Something that you can help out for the audience, for people that are starting off. How can they get started? What books to read? Any courses? Any mentors? Something out there for the community to help. If we can change one people's life, then I'm set.
Oh man, big time.
Yeah.
And again, there's a reason why we're doing this too. The biggest advice is find a mentor. Find somebody that you can piggyback off. Right. If somebody said, Richard, I got a deal in San Antonio, let's do it together. Perfect. You'll be able to see the entire process from start to finish. So at the beginning, you have to pay. You have to give some away, right? And that would be my recommendation, is find somebody that you can literally partner up with. And I think in real estate, that's the easiest thing to do. Like I mentioned, if somebody wants me to find the deal, finance it, and then, we're doing everything already. There has to be a value proposition, right?
Right.
Where, it makes sense, and we can help that individual, and then learn the entire process from start to finish, from the acquisition all the way to the construction, to the management, and even like the furnishing and everything that we do. So that would be my biggest advice, is find somebody that's already doing it and figure out a way to partner up with them.
Okay. And how long did it took you, for the audience, to get from knowing nothing about real estate investing to now having over 300 properties invested?
It's taking me 10 years. It's taking me 10 years.
It's a while, yeah.
Yeah, so it definitely takes time, and I'm still learning. Everybody continues to grow or continues to learn. Mm-hmm. I think the advantage is, I'm in the single family space. Mm-hmm. I tried to get into multi-units during COVID, and it didn't work out. Just because a lot of people that were investing in commercial, now nobody was investing in office spaces, malls. Mm-hmm. So then they had to move that money into anything similar or big ticket enough, and apartments just became so popular.
Yeah.
So, you know, my expertise is really in the single family space, and I'm continuing every day. So that's my competitive edge.
Right.
You know, I can look at a house that maybe you won't see a way to make it work. I might see a house, you know, like I'll give you one quick example. There was a house that had a house in the back, but it was like cylinder block.
Right.
And this house is like crooked to the max. And I'm looking at it, I'm like, man, if I can make that back house work, you know, but without tearing it down, the value is there. And even at my level, I'm like, I'm just gonna break all the concrete, I'm gonna lift it up, and then I'm gonna put a new foundation on it. Where anybody else, I mean, you can't come up with those things.
Right.
So that's what it takes. It's just keep figuring out. It's like black belt. You got to keep getting the highest level that you can in that business or in that niche until you get to the highest level.
So find the right mentor and focus on one thing and
Absolutely.
be an expert on that thing, and then move on to the next thing.
Master it.
Nice.
Master it.
I love it. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Anything else you want to throw out there?
No, that's it. If anybody wants to reach out, you know, you guys are interested in investing in Texas, San Antonio, fix and flipping, you know.
Where can they find you?
Instagram, the Richard Gonzalez SA.com, not .com, but SA for San Antonio. You know, send me a message and we'll connect. And I'm telling you, I've been right now managing my account. So right now is the time to.
What about YouTube?
So right now we're moving into the YouTube, you know, long form
Format.
Right now I'm mostly been doing reels on Facebook and on Instagram, and then you know, my video guy says, man, you have too much stuff going on. You should be doing long form. So again, it's evolving. So same thing, just how I'm starting the social media. It's just it's an evolution. Yeah. So I think eventually we will be having those, you know, reality clips.
Right.
You know, where it's the start of the day, what happened, all the challenges, real life scenarios, you know. So I'm looking forward to that too.
Yeah, so if you guys want to find Richard Gonzalez SA on Instagram, and also if you guys want to invest with him, he's an investor and he's raising capital. He's the owner of Home Loans Solutions, the auto property management, and the Alamo construction company. But he's a great guy. If you guys want to learn, he can mentor you, he can help you out, you can fund with him, invest some money, whatever it is, just follow him. He's a great guy. And yeah, I mean, that's all we have for today, and we're gonna be posting this pretty soon. Thank you so much for being here today.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Thank you so much for chiming in the Limitless CEO podcast, and I'll see you on the next one. Let's get it.